Well, hello there, everyone. It's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and, well, I do bees. Welcome to Southeast Louisiana. It is November 13th. We're going to go out and just do a little work today. This is fall for us, for me. I shouldn't say that, because you know me. This is not a how-to video. I am not showing you how to winter prep your hives, because frankly, I don't really do a lot of, let's say, prep, as they call it. It's not like in the northern climates where things really have to be really set up by a certain time and then it's done. Here, we got warm weather all the way through December, although we had weather in the 20s, which was a little unusual for us in November, so had to do a little prep for that. Plants in, plants out. I got a few flowers I wanted to preserve for another 3 weeks or so, so I had to move them in, move them out, so that my butterflies could continue to hit them. We're not used to everything dying off just this quick. But getting back to what we're doing, it's just a little winter prep, as you want to call it, as I'm going to call it. For me, it is simply making sure everybody's got food. That's for everybody, I guess. But I don't feed them up in the summer unless they're light, unless there's a late colony that comes along or there's a problem. Other than that, I leave them enough honey. I leave them too deep configuration for us, for me here in the deep south. So that takes care of food. Check to make sure they were queen right in August, and anything that looked suspect in between then and now, we have taken care of and went in and inspected. Okay, so I don't do a lot. I make sure they have food, they were queen right, and that's all we're gonna go out today and do. Is I told you about screen bottom boards and something I don't really mess with anymore. Well, that's what I'm doing today, is going in and putting the slides in on the screens just for winter. I've overwintered them without the slides in, but I'm gonna go ahead and put them in, and I'll take them back out in the spring. I need them in December anyway when I go through to do oxalic acid. So that's what we're going to go do today, is go put these slides in. We're going to weigh the colonies, and basically that's a very technical process, and I'll show you how I do that. And then I gotta take some triples off a couple of those on pallets out there to get them down to double deeps for the winter. Another thing we'll be doing a little bit later on, when I know for sure that the wax moth threat is gone, is I will be pulling those medium supers off of those colonies that I have been storing them on. I stored boxes on stronger colonies. They have since weakened down because it's natural. They're going to weaken down and keep their cluster of winter bees. And I say weaken down, they're down to about 6 frames, 7 frames, where they were really nice double deeps. And we'll pull those off. But that'll be later on when I know the wax moth thread is gone. And those supers were supers that had brood comb in them. The bees had raised brood in them, and there are some brood comb in them. So, the wax moths will go after that immediately. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, because I don't store any of my honey supers under wax crystals or wax moth crystals. I store them out in the air, and sometimes, I got about, 8, 10 supers that had brood in them, and I don't want the wax moths to tear that up. So I consolidate all those when I'm extracting honey. And then I went this year and put them on top of hives to guard until we got rid of the wax moth threat. So that's about it. We'll feed, of course. We'll have to feed whatever's light. And when we get into cold winter for us, we'll put fondant on. So there you go. You have driven with me a few miles down the road, heard everything I've got to say about my winter prep, and it's a how I do video, right? It's not a how to. I almost mixed that up. So we're off, and I completely went the wrong way. I don't even know, I just went the wrong way. I literally just went the wrong way. What was I thinking? I was supposed to go, I'm off. I got time. Here we go. Nothing special at this yard, folks. Just checking weights, just going through and making sure they have slides in the bottoms. One thing about these slides, and you can see I'm gonna wipe them down, but one thing about them, I noticed that I don't like, another thing I don't care for, is the bees can't clean. So you gotta constantly make sure you pull them and clean them, because if the, if there's a space between the screen which is the bottom of the hive, and the board. And the bees, they will get in there and patrol that because they can fit in there. But they're constantly trying to keep that clean. And, you know, if you got hygienic bees, not BSH, just even hygienic, just hygienic bees, they're trying to clean it. So you got to really go in and clean that. We're on a solid bottom. I like good bees keep the bottom clean. I mean, it's great at the beginning of spring to clean off the bottoms, but I don't find that something I have to do that much because they keep them clean. Maybe I got some hygienic bees, but with these, we definitely have to clean them off every so often, or they get just a thick, gross. It's all humid and wet, and the hive beetles and the wax moth larvae tend to get in there and live, and you know, beetles will hide in there. Another reason I don't like the screen bottoms. I know people say the beetles can't go around quarters and all that, but I disagree. I've watched them, and they just load up through that screen bottom. They hide down in there, and then they go back up, and then the bees have to go in and patrol the silly slide. Just another reason I don't care for them. I'm not bashing them. For me, they just don't fit. My bees do fine in the summer without them. Again, I didn't buy them for ventilation. I bought them for varroa control, thinking as any hygienic bees would be cleaning themselves off, knocking mites through the screen, it would kill them. And that is a mechanical intervention. That is a one, but it's only a piece of the puzzle, and it's only a very little piece. So for me, it wasn't the offset. It didn't. I don't know. It didn't work out for me. Now we'll clean them off. Whoa. A lot of flying. The one on the end over there has actually got a entrance in the back. They're coming in the front, but more in the back. So that's one that's a box that needs replacing. Whoops. I'm gonna have to trim these. Okay, so I do have a very precise way of measuring these for weight, because what we don't want is light highs in the winter. We all know that. So let me show you what I do. It takes me a minute to really get it just right, but I'll show you what I do. That was good. Yeah. No counterweights on this one. Got to make sure. Might have to do a little something different. Go to the next step on this one. Okay, better. The front's very heavy. Pick up our trash. I don't want to leave plastic in the grass. That's it. That nuke felt light at first, but when you pick the whole thing up, it's probably got about 5 pounds in there. They're small colonies, don't need 40 pounds, right? They will end up getting fondant this year. Can pretty much guarantee you that. They'll probably get fondant for sure, but they got enough to go for another month based on their size. Because remember, they're not growing much, and they are flying, so they are consuming a lot, and there's not a lot to get. But they're also not expanding and growing a lot, so that will carry them for the next few weeks. And then what I can do is when we really get in some cooler weather, I'll throw a fondant patty on there with some HiveAlive supplement in it, and they'll do fine. And actually, that stuff works really good. And sometimes what I'll do is, like this yard, especially since there's only 6 here instead of 10, I'll come out here and just put 6 patties on everything, and don't have to deal with this yard and come over here much. The only reason I come over now is really just to do these little things and bring the homeowner some honey. And basically, we're going to do the same thing over here. Also, I haven't closed all my entrances all the way. Probably wouldn't be a bad thing to do. I close them up in the summer, believe it or not, when it's hot. Because what I don't want is wide open entrances in the summer. These could stand to close a little bit. That, folks, is going to be a spring replacement. I've gotten through a lot of them, but obviously not that one. So this is the stuff that's not as much fun, I guess, when we're talking about videos and YouTube. Not, but again, everybody knows that's followed me. I'm a vlogger. This is a vlog. This is just my beekeeping season. Golly, they're plenty heavy. It's what I do. It's what I do. Usually get them moving a little bit. That one, it's not light, but it's not 60 pounds. Oh, I know why. Didn't have my... It gives me a little better... Heavy enough. Let's try it. Yeah, see, that's better. And we'll get this one. Okay, yeah, see, much different. Perfect. We're good over here. All these have shims, you'll notice. I medicated these bees. I really never used it on any bees. But I had wit's end with these 3 years running. Although last year wasn't as bad. The first year, I don't think I recognized it as well. The second year, it was bad over here. European foul brood, not American foul brood, European foul brood. I talked to a researcher, finally got the answer out of one researcher about bleach water, and yes, it will kill it. I've thrown away so much stuff, bleach watered everything else, kept equipment back out of here, isolated tools, and finally this year I said, you know what I'm going to do? Fall and spring, early spring, I'm going to get the terramycin on them, and now I've got something on them that hopefully will combat it. Although these didn't have it, but the crazy thing out here was, and this yard's been here for several years now, and the crazy thing about it is, just for the last 3, for whatever reason, they came out of winter with just a touch of it this past year. Last year was bad. Requeened everything, tried those eucalyptus, tea tree oil, and whatever else, towels, that didn't touch it. Didn't do anything for them. Came right out of winter with it. It wasn't as bad, so maybe it did something, I don't know. But it began to get worse. So, requeening, pouring the feed to them helps, but I finally just this year, I medicated them. And y'all saw that on another video I showed you this, well, it was a short. Showed you a little supplement on it. I needed to do it, guys. I've tried to stay away from that kind of stuff, but I'm also not gonna watch my bees just perish in a good yard that normally really produces well. Especially a yard that's doing so well as this one has done in the past. I'm also out here on his property for pollination of his gardens and things. So that's one of the reasons we have the bees out here. It's not something I charge for or anything like that. It's just matter of fact, he gets honey from me, but it's a pleasure to have an overflow yard. And when it started doing that, I had the retired inspector over here. We went through this thing, and I just left it alone this year. It suffered, and finally got purged all the ones that had any of the disease in, got rid of that stuff frames. It's a shame chunking that stuff, but bleach water will take care of the woodenware. European foul brood does not generate the spores like American foul brood. American foul brood, it can stay for 20, 30, 40 years. It's still in the boxes, and it will wipe out entire regions if it were to spread crazy. But European foul brood, we got it out of here. We got the equipment out. We got the dead outs purged. Got that equipment out of the system, completely out of the way. Got rid of it all. Probably could have cleaned a lot of it, but you know what? It's the only yard I see it in. We have it every year, but it's purged out by March. It's out. You may see it in 1 or 2 hives, but by the time the flow is really starting to kick in March, it's gone. This yard just wouldn't kick it. So we were left with 6 healthy, 5 healthy, 1 sketchy, but it recovered. It cleared out. And so what we've done this year is still keep everything segregated, but gave them that antibiotic. They got the 2 doses this year. They'll get 2 to 3 early spring before we start dealing with any type of flow. It's just what had to be done. But this yard, I want to come out of it in the spring, hopefully with 6 live hives that even if they have a touch of it, it clears out immediately. The EFB, but hopefully they don't even have a touch of it. Hopefully we solve that, and then we can get back on the right foot. That's kind of the goal. There you go. Alrighty folks, here we are to the new yard. This is our new yard. I'm gonna have to find a good parking spot out here. I don't want to beat down this grass too much. They do cut hay out here, and this is where our 2 triples are, so really we're gonna go over here. This is where we need to be. Now I'm gonna talk to you about these hives and how I got them placed. Not ideal actually, but I'll tell you about it. So with these colonies right here, we've got them placed facing north. Now, as far as what the books tell you and which way to face them, I don't sweat that too much. I've been in the woods, I've been in homes where bees are. You know, they'll grab a direction, whichever direction they can sometimes. I had meant to actually face them towards the trees, and mainly it's not to do with bees have to face a certain way. The issue is the north wind's coming across this field, right into the entrances. That's my issue with facing north. It was a bad decision on my part. So down the road, we may pick them up and flip the pallets around, and I might make some makeshift wind guards over the entrances with some flashing. It'd be pretty easy to do, just where they just keep the wind out. And what we're going to do with these is weigh them, and I am going to suit up because these bees can be a little feisty. We're going to suit up and pick up the backs, so I'm gonna have to break them loose, and when I break them loose, it might get them excited. And we're gonna take these 2 triples off. That's on the agenda. Let's get busy. So yes, I will roll a little smoke on these bees just to kind of keep them calm when I crack them. When I crack the lid, the bottoms, you know. Now, I don't have to put my finger up when I check the weights on these because these are on pallets. Yeah, plenty heavy. Yep. Huh? That was like. Okay, I'd say 10 is heavy, but 7, 9, one of these is kind of light, and 7's kind of light. And I say light, again, we got a couple months, nothing fondant can't fix later. So now we're gonna fume these triples off. Let's do that now. I have irritated a couple bees, that's for sure. Nice little cluster up here. So they've got, looks like they got some frames right here in the middle. Now these boxes were put on here to make space. A lot of them had just foundation. Pulled a few frames up for them just to see what they would do, but let's look. Got them open. Didn't expect them to draw much out. Just wanted to give them that option. Put some drawing down in the bottoms as well, while they were still putting a lot of brood in. And I did that. But this hive didn't look that strong. Definitely glad to get this off of here. But they were strong, that's why they got put on here. They started drawing them. But we're gonna run them out. We're gonna see what's up here first though. Because if it's honey, I will move the honey down. And it's not. It's a little bit of nectar, but I will move it down. Let's get this fume board on, see if we can push them. And we'll go to the next one. And just a tiny little cluster up here. So I'm gonna do the same thing with this. It's a lot of foundation. So there's not a lot of food in these. All right, we'll see if we can run them down some and get these off. They're gonna serve no purpose. There's nothing really in them. That one particular box has a couple nice frames that I can move down if there's some foundation in the second box. You know, give them some extra food. And we'll weigh these, and then while these are fuming, I'm gonna go weigh these others real quick. Yeah, that's all goldenrod. Look how yellow it is. You can even tell the yellow tint. Yeah. Yeah, that's all nectar. Well, then this side's very light looking, see? Yeah, this is a light hive. I knew it felt light. There's honey in it, but not a lot, so shoot, we might just go ahead and throw a gallon on every colony. This is full of eggs. Ouch. Dirty, rotten. This one's full of eggs. She's still putting in brood. Well, we know we didn't hurt the queen then. And the next one, same way. Yeah, they're going to need some. The outside frame's got honey on them and a little bit of a honey dome, but that's it. Well, that's good. The queen's okay. They're definitely light, and they're mostly in the top. So, yeah, we're going to probably have to feed these bees. So, of course, we see eggs, so we know that we have got a queen in the last 3 days, and it's been well over 3 days since we moved them here when the lid fell off, so we know the queen is okay. Definitely pleased with that. We can still feed down here. We don't have freezing temps coming for a little bit now. And I've got fondant at home. I can always put fondant on these bees, so definitely have options. Yep, that ran them out. Well, I'm telling you that, but they're still in there. It's almost like there's eggs in here. Did I miss some? They don't like coming off a brood, that I can tell you. But I'll probably just shake them off at this point, because I don't want to deal with this much longer. But before we go to shaking, we'll see if we can move a frame down. Might be an outside frame that needs some bees and needs some honey. Yeah, because they're just, I wonder if this is the whole colony. Folks, we might just have a very weak colony and this is it. No, they're down there. They're just acting strange. They want to come off of these boxes. This might be a queenless colony, folks. You know, I had one that swarmed. For it to, I wonder if this thing swarmed. This is a queenless colony. I mean, I'm saying that. There's chances it's not, but right now it looks queenless. There's no eggs, nothing. I don't see laying worker brood. Let's get in the middle here. Let's see. Well, this is quite a development. It might have to, oh, this is heavy. It's all nectar. Looking for any sign that there's a queen, and I'm not seeing it. Let me go put this box away and I'll be right back. All right, I just pulled the top. Sorry, I didn't have it recording. This doesn't look good at all, though, is what I'm going to tell you. I just don't see any sign of a queen in here. So I'm going to get into this little bit of a cluster that all I see is bees gathered and congregating, not really you know, doing anything for brood or, I mean, it was cool, but we've warmed back up. That other colony had eggs in it. There's a couple drones left. Yeah, I think we got a queenless colony. I see pollen coming in. So what I could do is take this and combine it somewhere. Wait a minute. I just saw an egg. One egg, single egg, and a... Let me look for the queen. I'm sitting here looking for eggs. I'm not looking for a queen, folks. You probably see nothing but my head, but I just literally saw one egg. They're acting like there's eggs under here, but one egg, that's not right. It could be a beginning of one of the laying workers, because you know you get several laying workers in these hives. And yes, they lay nope, they're single eggs. One, no multiple shots. 2, 3, 4. Okay, well, I'm seeing some eggs. I wonder if just the freeze got them. Maybe it killed off some, but there's no brood either. Now, could this be a new queen? Oh goodness, don't squish. Could this be the one that swarmed? And this is a new queen just getting started. I don't know. Because you see, you would think you'd see some cat brood too. This is a pollen frame full of pollen. So that's my edge of my nest most likely. Plenty of bees down in there, pollen coming in. I'm seeing no evidence of any old queen cells. And I saw like 4 or 5 eggs, that's it. I'm wondering if that's the beginning of a laying worker. A few laying workers starting up, dropping an egg here and there. We might need to just throw this on top of a colony. There is a little bit of old cat brood right here, I found it. But just like 2 or 3 cells left, that's it. That's older brood that's emerging. Well, I don't think it's queen right. I think those eggs might be the beginning of some laying workers. What I'm going to do is give them another week. Maybe this was one that swarmed, and maybe they got a queen built, made up, and she got out and got mated. Maybe she's just starting. I don't know. So I'm going to put it back together. Well, this turned into way more than I planned on, and this one's been fuming for the last 30 minutes. That's very light. We ran the bees down pretty good. I'm going to weigh this box. Oh yeah, it's heavy. So, there we go. I'm pretty disappointed out here today. This concerns me a little bit. It concerns me. I'd be lying if I said it didn't. That one definitely appears to be queenless. I think that's laying workers. And I say that because they're just starting. So I'm going to go back in a week and check. Well, friends, my SD card ran out. And I guess what I was saying in that video was I'm a little concerned out there as I come out here to check these. This is my Apiary and my little nuke. This Apiary's got my other Russian pole line. But some things to consider out there. So the one might be queenless. We'll go back in a week, see if we got any kind of multiple eggs, any single eggs, or maybe it's a new queen. Maybe that was the swarm. Now, if you remember right, I said that little swarm I caught, I ain't afraid to put that thing back on where it swarmed from if I knew where it swarmed from. Well, guess what? I just found one that might be queenless. So, and I'll combine it over there. What do you got to lose? You know, some little itty bitty swarm that will make it through winter. They're actually growing. She's laying, and but they're tiny. Put them on top of there. Who knows? That's an option. But we'll see. It's going to be about a week. So that's definitely one. Golly, that's one thing to consider. Another thing too is the ones that are small, I'm not terribly concerned with small as long as they're good. Oh yeah, they got plenty of weight. So these are good. But I'm not worried about being small because one thing to remember is that's predominantly Russian bees. Russian bees tend to go into winter with smaller nests if they're on their own. They tend to build up at the last minute in spring when they're ready. They're honey misers. They totally manage their honey different than an Italian bee. And so, you know, I'm not sweating it if they're small as long as they're queen right. The one where I checked to see, where I did find eggs, where I checked to see if the queen was okay because the lid had fallen off. The only concern with that one and probably a few others is all the bees are at the top already and we're just now getting into winter. But it's not a big deal because you know what, in 2.5 months, guys, these bees are going to be putting brood in for the spring. They're going to be rolling into the red maple in 2.5 months. That's it. So all I got to do is make sure they've got food. Everybody was pretty heavy. Even the lighter ones were heavy enough for now to where I can slap fondant on them. So all in all, got some stuff done today. I had to do some running all of a sudden at last minute for a customer, so I didn't get a chance to come over here and do these, but I got to weigh all these, put slides in these. I got 3 in another yard that I need to go just take a look at. And I need to go out there and think about if I'm gonna go ahead and feed these out here on those pallets. The ones that are a little bit light, feed them now with sugar water or wait and throw some fondant on them. Either way, they'll get nutrition. I'm not too concerned. I got some Hive Alive. They sent me those clear packs of feed. I might go throw those on there just for the heck of it, give them a little nutrition, and then we'll fondant them up later. But hey, I got home, got everything wrapped up that I wanted to do today, so we're gonna start back tomorrow. We're gonna do some bee work for the next 3 days, so I'll probably take the camera with me so you can keep up with what I'm doing. All right, guys, well, look, I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all go. I appreciate y'all watching. It's Barry's Best Honey. Let me say that again. I really do appreciate you all watching. I don't like to zip through that too much because truly, that is me thanking you. I appreciate it. You know, this channel has grown immensely over the last few years, and it's like, wow, it's because of you all, and I thank you for watching. And I also mean it when I say, may God bless you. We'll see you on the next one.